Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to talk about Splinterlands, but this is also a cryptocurrency video. And there's both a small problem and a massive one around the issue of regulatory clarity as well as access to Splinterlands and our in-game tokens within the marketplace that we live in, whether it's America, Canada, Europe, wherever. And so the two issues are connected, and it starts for me with a question from my audience. Champions Arena dropped a comment saying, "Hey Dwayne, I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how to get money into Hive. Can you do a video on how to get funds onto Hive? What exchanges do you use and how to swap? I'm in Ontario, Canada, and I can't use Binance because it's banned. Any help would be appreciated. Thanks, Julie baby," is the IGN. So I'll send a thank you afterwards, guys. But this small question, which there's plenty of ways to answer that's almost a separate video, but I want to quickly say that one of the easiest ways would be for you to get a VPN and then access Binance regardless of what Ontario says you're allowed to do. I'm in Canada too, and I use Binance all the time, so I'm surprised that this is a problem for you. But yeah, VPN, and that then provokes a question because it speaks about the broader issue of regulation from the federal level or from the provincial level or the state in America, your state level. Because there is a lack of regulatory clarity over Splinterlands, over SPS, over DEC even, for especially SPS though, because SPS was created by the game and sold initially as almost a fundraiser. A lot of it was to early investors. That is like, from the SEC's perspective, deeply problematic. And I've said before that this game, I believe, is fun and has a future, and I believe it will be here in 20 years. But one of the barriers that I can never account for, and that I've said many times, is unless there's a Black Swan event. And this, to me, feels like the outskirts of that conversation. And that's why I want to spend the rest of the video talking about the potential for regulatory clarity or the lack of clarity and the problem that could represent for our game, and what you can do in the meantime to kind of circumvent some of that stuff. But first, let's set the stage before we get into how it applies to Splinterlands directly, or even how we can work around this issue. I want to just set the stage. If you don't know, cryptocurrency has been recently plagued with, and probably will continue to be plagued with, attacks from the federal government in America. And when I say the federal government, I mean, well, frankly, it's at it's out of the White House, even like with Biden and some executive orders, but also it comes from the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, which has recently and in the last 2 years, I guess, or a year and a half or something, has famously sued Ripple for their issuance or how they handled XRP. And so, as you almost certainly know, that's caused huge declines in the XRP price. And the SEC has argued they are defending the average investor from these speculative investments that are so volatile. But the SEC themselves has really undercut, taking out the foundation on which XRP was really standing, caused some pain for many investors. And so that's why there's actually a kind of a coalition of XRP investors that have gotten involved in that legal processes. So that's one example. The XRP has really been punished by the SEC's involvement. There are pursuits for, I think, really buyouts, really bribes is what I think. But let's get there, because there's more examples. Library is another example. If you don't know what library is, it's kind of like YouTube. It's kind of like, Hive. In a sense, it's like a space where you can post video content and then you can share just like we do on YouTube. But Library has its own token, and similarly, they sold that digital asset. They call it LBRY, or library credits, to numerous investors, including investors based in the US. And so they've been sued, and that apparently is going to be wrapping up soon. And so you've got XRP one wrapping up soon. You got the library one wrapping up soon. And there previously, probably 3 years ago, there was Block One, which is like the entity that is holding a lot of the funds for the EOS. It's like a driving force for EOS blockchain, EOS. And they ended up paying 27.5 million in a settlement to the SEC a while back. In 2019, the SEC fined Block One 24 million for conducting an unregistered security offering. The company paid penalty without admitting the regular findings. My point in bringing these different issues up across these different blockchains that are not at all Splinterlands related is that this is not done. They are not going to just get a taste for millions of dollars from this hustle, this shakedown, and then just stop. They are going to, and I think by all accounts, we've seen indications that they will attempt to pursue these more and more companies, more and more coins, wherever there's a figurehead. And with Splinterlands, we have a figurehead. And Forbes has this other article. It's Biden executive order triggers shock U.S. Bitcoin ban proposal after, and they talk about Ethereum. So this Forbes article shows that there is pressure from Biden and from the administration to really, because of green concerns and carbon emissions, and because of proof of work being the basis through which Bitcoin is processed and allowed. I forget what the work of the consensus mechanism, that's the phrase I'm looking for Bitcoin, is so quote unquote carbon, negative or problematic from the carbon emission standpoint. They have come out and they've said that they've issued an executive order, and they are attempting to, like, look at this. This is a quote: electricity usage from digital assets is contributing to greenhouse gas emissions, additional pollution, noise, and other local impacts, depending on the markets, policies, and local electricity sources. The U.S. government has a responsibility to ensure the electrical grid stability and enable a clean energy future and protect communities from pollution and climate impacts. This is the world we live in. This is one of the core complaints, worries. This is everywhere. This is like this, and it's not going away. This concern is not going away. And as a result, wrap that up with the fact that there is lack of regulatory clarity on all blockchains, and add to that the SEC's taste for blood from their settlement negotiated with EOS, and their attempts to sue Library and Ripple. I think you have to know that the sharks sense blood in the water, and they are definitely not going away, and they will for sure sue everything they can that has an entity with which to sue. Splinterlands happens to have agency, has an entity that can be approached and sued, regardless of whether it's an appropriate lawsuit, regardless of whether it's truly a security, regardless of whether they have jurisdiction or not. They will sue because they cost them nothing to sue. They use printed fiat currency to pay the lawyers. So, and they control the printers. And so they can sue, they will sue. And what's going to happen if they sue? I mean, I think more of that article that I didn't fully read with the Bitcoin one, they go on to talk about how, Ethereum is making a switch to proof of their consensus mechanism is moving away from proof of work and into proof of stake. And the implication of the article is that if only we did more of that. So it says, should these measures prove ineffective at reducing impacts, the Biden administration should explore executive actions, and Congress might consider legislation to limit or eliminate the use of high energy intensity consensus mechanisms for crypto asset mining, referring to Bitcoin's proof of work. Now, you might say that we don't have proof of work, therefore we're safe. Totally wrong. This is nothing but like just building a wall, building a case, attempting to cordon off this entire cryptocurrency space, and we are a part of that space. So understand that's all the problem. That's what we're up against. That's the appetite for kind of attacking our space and this game, and they've done it before and they will continue to do it again. So Splinterlands is not safe from that, because the way SPS was created was printed, and a certain amount of it was printed, put in the hands of the developers, and then they sold some of that to early investors. That's totally going to be looked at as a security. And what would that do if they came to us later down the road and did this whole process? Of course, it's punishing. It would translate into different things, like in America, this dangerous game is being sued by the SPS. And Biden or some lackey like him would come along and say, like, this game is fooling players into investing thousands of dollars, and prices are volatile, and we are only concerned with the people and their investments. So because we're so honest and what's the other word? We're so honest and we care so much about you guys, we're going to take away these dangerous hazards, these NFT blockchain-based video games. That is going to be the narrative. Just wait. And if that's the narrative, what could you do? Bringing it full circle, we come back to the question of my friend here, Champions Arena, saying, I'm having a hard time buying Hive. What do I do? I can't get it because Binance, I don't have access to Binance because in my space, in my location, it's banned. The only thing you can do, VPN access. You get access to VPN and you're going to be able to circumvent that problem, right? Because if you don't know what a VPN is, it's a private network, virtual private network. And so you can trick your computer into believing it's elsewhere. Right now, your IP, the fingerprint of your computer is linked to your country and your city, and that connectivity, that relationship, that identity creates certain access points. It's used to limit what you have access to. When you activate a virtual private network, it actually dictates where your computer is linked to, what sort of network it's linked to. And as a result, you have the ability to say you're not in America or you're not in Ontario, Canada. And as a result of that, you can then access Binance, or for that matter, a game that's been blocked, such as Splinterlands, without problem. More than that, it's got all kinds of other benefits too, like virtual private networks VPNs can give you access to a wide range of Netflix content that you wouldn't have if you didn't have the VPN, because Canada shows certain things, America shows others, Taiwan shows others. And so as a result of that, it has like a lot of added value. But I really think we're all going to need to think this through. If we're investing significant amount of money, and if this is the pressure in the system and the appetite for attacking and of course they want to do their shakedowns everywhere they can. I don't think these shakedowns are going to stop. And I do think they're shakedowns. This is not them defending the little guy. This is not them defending the small investor. That's garbage. That's a lie. They see a financial opportunity. They recognize that there is a lack of regulatory clarity, and they found that the best way for them to take advantage in terms of shaking each company down is by providing zero clarity and then just suing you when they feel they've built enough case about how you haven't complied with rules they didn't set yet. And so it's totally illegitimate. Honestly, it's malicious, but it's going to continue. And if it continues, this could be one threat that Splinterlands faces. It could be one kind of black swan that could really hurt our game, because it could cut off swaths of participants from our space. And that would be, that could potentially be tens of thousands of investors that aren't buying cards, aren't renting cards, aren't playing the game. And that would be a setback. And so I don't know if this is coming. I don't know what this will exactly look like, but I almost take for granted now, as I think about this full picture, and I got started with this question of, I can't access Hive, I can't access Binance from Ontario. It's like that sort of connect the dots starts to be like, you know what, this is a problem, and this could be big. And if it is, what would I do? Because I believe in this game. I don't think there's any sort of nefarious element to the game. I think the nefariousness and the maliciousness comes from the government, actually. Hot take. And so I VPN, that's what I'd be doing. It's really easy to do if you want to know how to do that, but there's tons of videos on YouTube. So if that seems important to you guys, let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, I just really wanted to walk through that answer to that one question around how to access Hive. The only way is Binance is your best option. but then VPNs are going to unlock that for you. And then with that conversation open, it's like, this is a bigger, broader issue. Like that's the tip of the iceberg. You can't get Hive in Ontario. What about you can't play Splinterlands anymore because the government says NFT blockchain-based video games are bad? That's where this could go. It's garbage, but it's almost certainly coming. So let's just imagine and let's think through in anticipation what we could do. And this is what you could do, VPN. And then you just turn on your VPN and you're suddenly playing in Thailand or wherever. So guys, I'm going to leave it at that, but thank you so much for the comment from, I think it was champion something or other. And I will send a little thank you here. Julie Baby was the in-game name. And have an amazing day, guys. God bless.